Hello, and welcome to the darkest timeline.
Film podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Darkest Timeline. I'm David.
I'm Ian. I'm Dylan.
And I'm John.
And today we watched a movie that answered the question, what would John Malkovich do with a Gatling cannon?
Well, Malkovich.
That's right, we watched Jonah Hex.
Just gonna gloss over saying that wrong. Malkovich. Yeah, that's how you say it.
John, why don't you tell me the plot? Tell our viewers, tell our listeners,
Tell somebody.
In a world where...
It's not a trailer.
It could be.
It could be.
I'll do the sound effects.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, yeah, you should do the dum-dum-dum before I start doing it. In a world where World War II was... Civil War was going on between the Confederacy and the Union. Jonah Hex found out that one of his friends was doing some kind of shady stuff with his dad. What, I don't really know. But Jonah Hex turned in his friend, which made him a turncoat, traitor, son of a bitch. And his friend didn't really like it. He killed his friend, and his friend's father said, hey, screw that. I'm going to have payback on you and kill your family, your wife and kid, which we never saw until the middle of the movie. And then Jonah Hex gets his face burned, and he's ugly, and somehow he runs across Megan Fox, and they're doing it, and yeah, he ends up finding the killer of his family, and he kills him. That's really it of this movie. Jonah Hex.
I think you glossed over some stuff.
We did, but we're going to talk about it.
We did see the his family die in the beginning. It was right before the cartoon stuff.
No, but they didn't show them dying.
Well, they showed the inside of the house being lit on fire. And the door being closed.
But we didn't see his family until, because I have that as a note until the middle of the movie.
His family shoved into the house, and then the doors closed.
I usually love your synopsis, but I feel like you left some low-hanging fruit on this one.
All right.
Can I try?
I don't care.
But I need your approval.
No.
In a world...
Well, all right, then. We're going to slap a sound in for every time Dave's wrong about something in the movie. Enjoy.
Where Native Americans have magic powers and the dead talk, Jonah Hex comes to life. That's right, Jonah Hex, former Confederate star of the Republic of the United States of the Union, turned bounty hunter, finds out that his arch-nemesis, John Malkovich...
Not arch-nemesis. His nemesis, which is shaped like this.
I got the Malkovich part right, though.
Yeah.
John Malkovich has a Gatling cannon that also has Dragon Balls. It shoots Dragon Balls, and it nukes cities, and President Grant calls Hex up, and he's like, Hex, we need you to be America's sheriff. And Hex is like, I don't do that anymore.
That was in the end.
Hey, who's telling the plot?
Well, you're not.
And then he's like... You need to save America from the terroristas.
That's the one guy that the Mexicans called terrorist.
Right. And then Will Arnett's there, and he's like, I'm in the Union, but I'm not very effective. And then John Malkovich blows up a small town, and Hex was like, oh, that sucks. I need to stop him. And then he tries to stop him, and he gets stabbed several times by Magneto. And then, but it's a Samoan Magneto.
It's Irish.
An Irish Samoan.
Tattoos aren't specifically Samoan.
Those were tribal tattoos of the Pacifica, if I've ever seen them.
I feel like you need to stop. You're just confusing people now.
And then, so they blow up, they Dragon Ball up the old Wild West town, and they're like, let's take this to Washington! And then they try to Dragon Ball it, but little did they know Megan Fox has stuff in her hair, and she can pick locks, and she breaks out of her prison, and then she strangles someone who has a chain, and then Hex shoots him, and then they fight, and then there's a dream sequence where they're also fighting the same fight.
Started before.
In a riverbed, and then the Dragon Ball misses. No, it hits Will Arnett, and he blows up, and they do it another time, and the third Dragon Ball turns into a fireworks. And then there's a little kid that goes, God bless America. The end.
You see, yeah, we're not going to ask you. You're not allowed to do that anymore.
That was awesome.
John,
that was nothing but net.
it was nothing to do with the story.
No, that was the story.
You got so many things wrong, though.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
A lot.
John might have glossed over a few things, but yours made no sense.
No, you just watched that 73-minute masterpiece with me.
Yeah, but I don't think you actually watched it, though. Now I'm thinking.
There was No, that was it.
Well, the only reason I glossed over because we're going to talk about it anyway.
Yeah.
So that's why I didn't want to spoil it for the listeners.
I mean, we were going to
Because
talk
once they
about
listen, they're like, oh, okay, screw it. I can turn it off now. I know what the movie's about.
Screw it.
All right. So I'll just start with the beginning of the movie. One thing that I did like, Josh Brolin actually, the lead of the story actually narrated his story.
That's true. Yeah.
Finally.
You got that on Blade.
R.I.P.D. too. But that narration was kind of stupid the way it was written. I think this was okay because I kind of couldn't really hear what he was saying. And then from the west.
Well, when he had trouble opening his mouth.
Well, yeah.
They should have hired Ryan Reynolds to read it.
Yeah, hey, he's such a great voice actor.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think they should have got Jeff Bridges' True Grit guy to voice over Jonah Hex.
Wasn't Josh Brolin also in True Grit?
Doesn't matter. Inconsequential.
I'm wondering if that makes two people from True Grit, if I'm right, that have done Western-based superheroes.
Could you just imagine, like,
people.
We want you to be the lead of a movie, but we're going to duct tape half your mouth shut.
Well, it was kind of half open, really. In that one scene, he was screaming and stuff, and I'm assuming that was just a version of the prosthetic that was longer. Because he clearly could not open his mouth during many scenes.
Oh, yeah.
That was weird. He was just talking with his teeth clenched like this. It was a decent-looking prosthetic, though.
It was.
Yeah.
And I'll give them credit. It didn't look as bad as I thought that it would have looked. And they did a really good job. I mean, that's probably the best thing they did in the movie. But one thing I am which I guess it's kind of hard with a guy like Josh Brolin, because you know, with most of the movies, you want to see the guy's face. Because after a while, it just becomes unrecognizable. I was missing the bigger eye, because wasn't he supposed to have a bigger right eye?
Big f***ed up eye too on that side of his face.
Kind of like a Two-Face.
Like a Two-Face, Wild West Two-Face.
Wild West Two-Face. That's what it is.
Only he's a good guy.
Right. Yeah.
He's an anti-hero.
Good guy Two-Face.
Yeah.
Good guy too.
Yeah.
Comes up heads more often.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless he hits tails when he's with Megan Fox.
Oh.
No, that's he gets tail.
Oh.
It can work either way. Yeah. Okay.
So I liked.
That joke killed our momentum.
I would say my favorite part was. I really liked the animation in the beginning.
Really?
What?
I thought that was weird.
Me too. I did like it.
I
did like it.
It was weird.
I mean, aside from everything, if you just took the animation, yeah, it's nice.
Yes.
It was super weird in the movie. I think
Ian, I completely agree with you.
I think that like 2-minute animation could have easily been an hour-and-a-half movie.
It really could have. A good one.
A good one. Better than this.
They could have turned this into a whole. This movie could have been better as a cartoon.
Well, I mean, they could have made a live-action version of that 2-minute animated thing as an hour-and-a-half thing.
Either way, I'm agreeing that what you're saying is correct. But I would go and watch that movie if it was like Samurai Jack style cartoon.
Why Samurai Jack?
Because I consider that to be like a cartoon that's really good and also geared towards both kids and adults.
Huh.
Okay.
And they probably would have really. What they should have done was do.
Wait, why are you talking about something that's geared toward kids and adults?
This was clearly geared towards 13-year-old boys.
It was
12-year-old boys.
It was geared towards profit margins.
Yeah. Well, in that, like, a lot of people die in this movie, but you never see them die.
Yeah, which is lame.
Yeah, that's really lame.
So stop gearing it towards kids.
Yeah.
But if it was a cartoon, they'd have a little more liberties.
Not really.
Well, that's why I said. I was gonna say, that they should have done a DC animated film. Mm-hmm. Because same thing like Suicide Squad I never really knew about suicide. I mean, I saw the comics, when I was reading like IGN reviews and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting, building this team together. I don't know why I should care. But then DC Animated came out with the film.
Oh, yeah.
And then I saw the film. I was like, oh, okay, this is kind of cool. It's messed up for them, for the villains, because, they're kind of being forced. And if you don't do this, I'm going to blow your brain up. And it's like, wow, okay, you're really sick. I thought I was sick. But, and that got me slightly excited for the live-action Suicide Squad film.
Slightly.
So, slightly.
Only so you can be now slightly disappointed.
Hopefully not. Because I'm banking on, since Will Smith and Viola Davis are in it. Not saying that Will Smith hasn't made bad movies, but his track record shows that he's made more good movies than bad.
I really hope.
I'd need to see that list, but okay.
Yeah, I really hope he gets his mojo back in this one. I know this is off topic, but 90s Will Smith was pretty much the reason to have summer. It was like Independence Day. It was.
Yeah, him in the early
Men in
2000s.
Black.
Well,
Men in Black.
Early
Like
2000s.
he had some really good stuff, and then it's just been stinker after stinker now for a while.
Yeah.
But I still love the guy.
Well, okay. Anyway, back to this film. There wasn't a favorite thing I liked earlier. I just said I liked it. My most favorite thing in the movie was the guns that he got. And dude, that was awesome. Because I thought, I was like, because I joked, I was like, unless, how awesome is this gun supposed to be? Because they didn't really explain, or he didn't show like in most movies do. Not saying that they should follow that exact formula, but at least show, why is this gun cool? Why should I care as an audience member? I got this new stuff, you should really take a look at this. All right, that's cool. I'm going to use these. Okay, and?
But that gun was awesome!
That gun was amazing, man.
Shot dynamite.
It shot dynamite. It was a pistol dynamite gun.
Yeah, it was like
Crossbow.
a crossbow / dynamite.
Whatever.
But even I'm starting to kind of wonder like how it exactly worked. Like how big is this gun for it to rotate?
It's the last thing you need to think about.
no,
It had a big long cartridge in it, and it was just spring loaded, and they would keep coming up.
Okay,
It was like a 19th century RPG.
basically,
Yeah.
that was pretty awesome.
Pretty cool, man.
Especially when he like hit someone and they just kind of turned into mist.
Yeah, that was, wow. Okay,
Yeah.
that's what my favorite part of the film.
Yeah.
Was.
My favorite part was Michael Fassbender. Whatever.
Yeah, we know him.
Magneto.
Yeah,
He was great. I liked his like little delightful, joyfully violent, doing his thing. He's just happy doing his work, and his work is just violence, just killing lots of people.
He's like a good villain that could not really. He'd have trouble being promoted to chief villain, but he makes a great number 2.
Oh yeah.
oh yeah,
Just tell me what to do, I'll do it.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He's a perfect number 2. Yeah.
He was amazing. I really liked him. I think he was probably the best actor in the movie.
Yeah, I'm going through like people in my mind who were in this movie.
He was
Megan
working
Fox
the hardest.
was not the hard. Yeah,
That's true. Yeah, I'll give you that.
working the hard. I felt like John Malkovich
Well,
was kind of walking through it.
Yeah.
yeah. I kind of felt the same. I was kind of disappointed. Even like when he was killing off people, it was just kind of like, like I just picked a flower or something.
Designate the ordinance.
Yeah. It was just like, is there any emotion there at all? I mean, I understand you lost your son, you feel like, that's your world, but there has to be something. What's your motivation, really? I mean, I know his motivation is to, I don't know, to get back at the U.S. for whatever. They didn't even really explain that well. I think they did, but not really.
I thought it was contract obligations.
I thought, okay, so
He's
going
a
off,
very internalized man.
going off the actors, I would say he was the best main character, but
Sure.
the person that stuck out to me, even since the first time I saw it, which was like right after it came out on DVD,
Right.
was the first gentleman who was resurrected or raised in the cage. Just for some reason, he had 2 minutes of screen time, and I think he hit all of his marks.
He was very believable.
He was very.
He's
he
crying
sold
and
it.
stuff in the end of it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, he used his screen time
He
very
moved
well.
me, and he brings back a few people to life briefly in the movie, and none of them are able to match the first guy. The first guy, stand-up performance.
Well, Michael Fassbender, he did a good job.
Oh yeah, when he dies, yeah,
He gets brought back momentarily just to burn and die.
right.
But even okay, this is the crazy thing about him. Going to what you're talking about, you liking his character. When Jonah Hex was about to, send his head which I was kind of disappointed at how that ended in a sense. I thought it's like, I know this is going to sound sick, audience of the world, listeners, but I thought his head was going to lop off, or something like that, because this big looping fan thing.
At least part of it.
Yeah, but I got the idea that the back of his head was cut, so.
What in this movie led you to believe that? This shallow excuse for a violent movie. Excuse.
Maybe it was my coffee liqueur that I was drinking. I don't know. But going to where he was about to die, he was laughing. He was like whatever, I don't care. This I envision myself dying like this anyway. Whatever, this is the best way to go out.
I always wanted to be hit in the head with the propeller of a boat.
Yeah, because he was so committed to his boss. He was the perfect number 2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I like the moment. Speaking of the death scene, where he's like, Michael Fassbender's like, what is it like walking around the world with scars like that? And then Jonah Hex hits him with the fire and says, let me show you. I really was hoping for him not to die and then walk away maimed and horribly disfigured, because he was such a good number 2. It would have, if there was a hypothetical 30-minute sequel to this movie, I'd want him to be in it.
Just like the pilot episode of a half hour, never gets made. A canceled series.
Actually, but you know what though? I was going to the train sequence. So okay, we're kind of going back close to the after.
No, you can't keep going with new favorites.
No, this is not a new favorite.
This
is still piggybacking off of what you were saying. I was hoping that he was the lead villain until they brought the old dude back. Because I was thinking this is kind of cool because now he's stepping up. And, he's crazy. Got these tattoos. And he's
Hey, tattoos don't make you crazy now. They did then.
Say that to the new Joker.
Oh, he did. He got the tattoos after he was crazy.
Oh, okay. Well, never mind.
Ian, what was your favorite part?
The train sequence in the beginning. That was a great train heist.
It was.
That was, yeah.
Yeah. And they had inside men. They had everything. It was perfect.
Yeah.
They did it very well. And then they blew the shit out of the part of the train they didn't steal.
Yeah.
Would you consider it better than The Great Train Robbery, one of the first films ever made?
You know what? No, nothing beats The Great Train Robbery. Have you ever seen that masterpiece?
No cinematography. It's like they didn't have a production design or anything.
But no, that was really awesome. I didn't like the little boy who was like a snitch.
What do those men do?
Right, you're sitting there playing with horses, little cowboys and horses at the window, and all of a sudden you see you don't know who they are, cowboys, horses. What are they doing? It's kind of.
He didn't go like, what are they doing? He was like, hey, Mom, what do you suppose those men are doing?
He was kind of
just
afraid.
Curious.
He wasn't afraid.
Yeah, see, I can see a snitch when I see one, a little scared. And then his mom made her, oh my goodness, and everyone, oh my goodness, like, hey, they could be riding.
She just looked and went, get down, and he got down.
To be fair, those were his last words.
No, man, they were talking the entire time during the rest of the robbery. Then they exploded.
How do you feel about being rich, son? Oh, I feel very good. I feel very good about being rich.
We're all very rich. All of us in this car in our fancy clothing, so everyone can tell we're very rich. Very, very rich. More well off than all the other people. We don't have diseases. That's for all the trash.
I still wish rich people dressed like that. I think I want to know what the classes are, and that would be fantastic if someone's walking down the street in a big bonnet and a whatever, the little sailor hats with the kids. I'd be like, oh,
I want a sailor hat, but I'm not rich.
No, it would be more like, well,
I had to join a navy to get a sailor hat.
At least they're rich, and at least I don't have to dress like that. That would be the trade-off.
What, it's like
it's mandatory.
Federally mandated. If you have more than this much money, you have to only buy clothing from these places.
Yeah.
Could you imagine just breaking that ceiling and
like
then your family having to change clothes? And all your friends are like, oh, I see you're doing well for yourself.
Or, it'd be even worse.
Yeah,
just
regretting it, though.
Living on the border and just like you make that much money and you have to buy that clothes, but buying those clothes sets you back under so you can't actually wear them.
They're just sitting in your closet.
Yeah. I gotta just make a little bit more money so I can finally wear my sailor outfit.
As soon as you step outside, hey, you, take those clothes off.
I know you don't make that much money.
Peasant.
I'm $10 away. Just 6 more weeks of work in this economy.
Okay, so anything anyone else liked?
Yeah, any miscellany good things before we go into the bad?
Gatling horse.
Gatling horse!
I refer to it as Gatling Steed personally.
Gatling Steed's pretty good too.
Yeah.
I like
Actually,
Gatling
I
horse.
said, take heed of Hex's Gatling Steed.
Oh dear.
Nice.
I think that whole sequence was a really good way to establish Jonah Hex. The opening sequence, he comes in with 3 desperados dead, tied up to his horse, and then they're like, "You're a short brother," and he just tosses the head to the sheriff, and he's like, "I want my $100," and the sheriff says, "No, your name is Jonah Hex, and here are 4 dead persons that you killed, but we are going to cheat you out of your money because we think we could take you." So dumb. They die, and then, like, of course, the obligatory, he rides off as the whole town is on fire behind him.
Yeah.
It was just a badass way to introduce him.
After he gives the sheriff badge to the dumbest looking fat dude that has ever been. And no offense to fat people, just offense to this dude who looked as stupid as they come.
Man, hey, kudos to him, man, because he was trying to look as stupid as he could. And I was like, wow, this guy's playing a good role.
I think he made it.
Mission accomplished.
Yeah, Hex was walking away from that guy, and the look on his face, he was like, "I'm sheriff now."
And then the town burst into flames.
Oh no.
Wait, this isn't my fault. This isn't my fault.
Yeah, I think I liked, surprisingly, I think Megan Fox did a decent job.
I'll get on that later.
Yeah, we
She's
can get on that
barely
later.
in the movie.
I know, but I mean, for her to be barely in the movie, because the movies I've seen her in haven't really been that great, but I was like, you know what? You did okay. You did just okay.
Just okay.
Just enough.
okay. Can't say more than that. Just okay.
I'll be as generous as possible and say she did not add to the negative column of this movie.
Not really.
Okay, so this is why I was surprised why Megan Fox was this good, because of how bad of reviews Jennifer's Body, that movie that she was in, has gotten. Because people were really talking a lot of crap about her. Basically, it was like, she can't act.
Right. That was the end of her career, and she came back from it. But not at the same level.
Well,
But
thanks to
Jennifer's
Michael
Body
Bay.
could have killed her.
Yeah, no,
killed her
definitely
career.
could've.
What else did you like? Oh man, as much as I didn't like him, I kind of liked Snake Man because he was insane.
No!
I mean, it was weird and stupid. Did not fit in this movie.
At all.
Didn't make sense.
It was supposed to be in a horror movie. I don't know where it came
He
from.
was supposed to be that, or he was supposed to be like a hybrid person from like an Aliens movie.
Right.
You know, but he was like a scary little dude.
I don't really get how that really played into
It didn't.
the rest, because I thought he was going to come back later on, or maybe John. It seemed for
You
a
act like they
second-
put thought into this movie.
I was hoping they did. It seemed like for a second maybe Jonah was like, hey, I'm going to have to face these other guys later on. Either I was thinking he was going to say, let me take the other guy, the Beast Snake guy, because I need a crew. Maybe he was going to assemble a crew. Or let me take the crazy snake guy. And if he starts getting crazy on me, I can kill him.
And the snake guy, he walked the line for a bit of it, but then he completely crossed it and broke it.
Oh, yeah.
And the moment that happened was
When he unhinged his jaw.
when he unhinged his jaw. Up until then, it was just some wiry-looking dude who knew parkour in the 1800s.
Well, like parkour and capoeira fighting.
Yeah. And that's fine, and it looked cool, and I could buy it. But then he unhinged his f***ing jaw, and
Well, I'd say I like him in another movie.
Oh, yeah.
I don't like him in this movie.
If this was
That's a really weird choice,
if this was futuristic, or maybe Jonah Hex in space,
which is a thing.
yeah, which that would have made sense. And I was like, are you kind of touching on him going into space? But this is
What?
just really weird right now.
right,
You know?
or if they're back. I guess in 2010 they could have done it. The idea of Marvel's extended universe where they seed in different.
This is a DC movie.
I know, but what I'm saying is DC could have started with Jonah Hex and like.
That would have been the worst decision.
Right. I didn't say that they didn't have to start with Jonah Hex, but if
You
Jonah
just
Hex
said they could have started with Jonah Hex.
they could
They
have.
could have. If it was if they would have really put some time into it and made it a great movie, they could have.
Right. And you have this one weird thing that doesn't
That'd be
fit.
like Marvel starting a universe with Squirrel Girl.
I think everyone would watch that.
now because Marvel has a good track record. But if they started with Squirrel Girl, do you think anyone would have seen that movie?
I'm just saying.
No one even saw Incredible Hulk.
What if it was,
could have
what if
been
it was
a
a sleeper
tie-in.
hit?
It could have been a tie-in to a larger universe because Jonah Hex is, comically speaking, in a larger universe that has more fantastic things.
There better be more fantastic things in that universe because that's a pretty boring portion they showed.
Yeah, they got
yeah.
Snake Guy, and by the way, you can talk to dead people. And there are
Which is bull. We'll get to that later.
and there are cannon fodder that can level a city. That's it.
Anything else anybody like?
I know there's something.
Let's just go to the parts. Come on.
Yeah, let's just do dislikes. Do dislikes.
Okay. Okay.
Well, Dawn, you should just go first on what you just said.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. What'd I just say?
This movie was terrible.
The dead
death.
people.
Oh yeah. So Jonah Hex doesn't have superpowers ever in the comics. That's not a thing that Jonah Hex does. His superpower is being a really good cowboy. That's him.
He's an incredible marksman.
He's
and
incredible
he's a very
marksman.
quick draw.
He's a very
possibly
quick draw.
the quickest draw.
Yeah, he's just he's really good at being a cowboy, being the classical idea of a cowboy. He's the best at being that. And he does very well at being the best cowboy because he's the best cowboy. And then in this movie, they shoehorned in this thing where so he kind of nearly died. He had a near-death experience.
Which, no, he does.
Yeah, he does have a near-death experience. But in this one, the near-death experience gives him the ability to touch dead people, which will bring them back to life while they are touching him. And there's a lot... They throw in a lot of lore behind that idea, too. That, like, they need to be, like, in the ground or they'll start to burn. So, like, if you pour dirt on a burning person, then they'll go back to normal until he, like, lets go of them and they die again. And the longer someone's been died, the longer they can stick around.
The longer someone's been died.
The longer someone's been dead, the longer they can stick around and talk to him.
Which was an interesting addition.
It is.
I would say it is interesting.
But it wasn't
although,
necessary.
No.
This could have been a solid Western instead of a weird supernatural Western, you know?
Yeah, and that's where it kind of lost me because they didn't even explain that. It was like, I just got this thing and I don't know where it came from.
And then there was one point where there were like the sounds of dogs, and he was like, there's hellhounds coming for you. And let's just never talk about that again.
Ever again.
At all.
You don't even see it. At least let me see it.
Right.
Or I don't know, something, man.
But yeah, that's not none of that. None of that is in the comics. And I feel like the way they threw in so much specific stuff about it, it was like they were trying to be this is just some dumb comic thing that we're putting in here, but it's not. It's their dumb thing they're putting in there.
Yeah. Basically.
And that's what I really didn't like about this movie.
What I didn't like about this movie, and I thought was the worst, was its treatment of indigenous peoples.
Yeah.
It was the worst. They're like in Jonah Hex the comics, the Pawnee and the Crow and those type of tribes, they play big parts in who he is, and they're sort of like his resource and his go-to and influencers. And in this movie, they have zero lines. They're only there to resurrect him when he screws up.
Yeah. And the moment he's resurrected, he's on a horse riding away.
Right. And
do stereotypical.
I mean, you don't even see any of him when he's being resurrected that time.
right.
Well, they were smoking a peace pipe.
You see some hands spreading some stuff. It's
then
probably
poor-
the director's hands, but whatever.
So that pissed me off that they couldn't take some of the lore from the comics and make Native Americans into people.
They were too busy making their own lore.
To be fair, they didn't treat anyone like people in this movie.
No.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they
Well, I mean,
treated
it was
Megan-
the West. No one was treated like people.
They treated Megan Fox like a common whore.
Well, I mean, she was a common whore.
That might explain that.
I guess what was the one thing that I didn't like? I guess it
The
kinda,
one thing you didn't like.
well, there's two, but I'll mention one of them. They kind of irked me. I mentioned it earlier that it was hard for me to kind of connect or have a better connection with Jonah Hex because they immediately just started out, I'm one of the best gunslingers around, whatever. I'm in the West. I'm doing my thing, and I guess I killed a friend of mine, and all of a sudden now they're killing my family. which I never got to really see them until the middle of the movie. I mean, it was implied that they were in a house, she heard screams, and he was over there pleading to the villain, please don't kill my family, don't do this to me. And I was just sitting there thinking while I was watching that, I'm like, okay, but why should I care? I mean, I know why I should care, but why should I care? Because it would make so much more sense. For me, I would be more emotionally attached if you show, like, oh, how loving him and his wife was, or him spending time with his son. Kind of like they threw in the middle of the movie, but it's like, well, it's already kind of too late now. I mean, you missed a big payoff where, you know, you see the loving family, you see how well they are together, and then you are really rooting for Jonah Hex to get vengeance. Like, now I'm rooting for him. They just started off with, I want vengeance. And it's like, what? Okay.
Is he Batman now?
Yeah, but kind of.
I
Cowboy
am
version.
vengeance. I am the night. I am Jonah Hex.
Well, I mean, he wants vengeance at night, clearly.
That's true.
That's true.
A lot of nighttime. But on top of that, his wife and son, I guess,
fine, too.
his wife was Native American.
Yeah.
And that would be a big deal.
A big deal.
In the Old West.
Yeah.
Or at least,
I guess the other
according to all the Westerns I've ever seen, it'd be a big deal. I don't know, that's probably a racism thing.
Oh, well, yeah. But, I mean, I think they were more tolerable probably to that than him marrying a black woman.
Probably.
Because they took plenty of Native American, hey, we're going to teach you our language, we're going to teach you about Christ, and you just go back and, you know, teach your own people.
You take away the word teach and put in the word force, and then it's true.
Well, yeah, you know, So that.
Yeah.
We're going to force our religion on you, you heathen, praying to the wind and all of this other stuff. You know, we don't like that.
Pretty sure that was just in Pocahontas, but okay.
But yeah, I didn't really like, and yeah, to go off of what you're talking about, Dave, I wish they would have showed more of the different tribes. Like, you know,
yeah,
you're just gonna throw them in there and just, okay, yep, so whatever about that, let's go back to this. And it just missed a lot of, I mean, what could have made this movie good, which we're gonna get to at the end, is stuff like that. They missed opportunities to just clean those up, make it better. That, and they brought in Dragon Balls, which I don't know where they came from.
Well, they came from the Great Dragon.
That's true. I was wondering if Goku was going to show up, or Bulma, most likely, to get the Dragon Balls from them. But
Weep, 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 weep.
Maybe that's in a sequel.
What is the deal with castrating all those great dragons? Or is that not where those come from?
I don't think that's where they come from. But.
So, Ian, what was your least favorite part? Clean segue.
Okay, so Megan Fox's character is nicknamed Lula, and you're not told. I think it was Lula. Was that what it was?
Sure, why
I think
not?
it was Lula.
Whatever.
She was nicknamed Lula, and you didn't learn that was a nickname until like right near the end, right?
Oh yeah,
it was in the last half of Act 3 or something. So her real name was Tallulah Black. And for some reason, when she, instead of saying, like, my real name's Tallulah, she's like, my real name's Tallulah Black. You must know my entire name. Because it's a name from the comics, and people have to know who I'm trying to portray. And my problem is that she was Tallulah Black. I would have been fine if she was just some random prostitute that Jonah Hex liked. But no, they had to make her into a character that she wasn't playing. I mean, she was kind of playing her, but... I mean, it would have been Tallulah Black if her entire body was covered in scars and she was missing her left eye. Then it would have been Tallulah Black.
Oh, so that's his love interest in the comic? Mm-hmm. Oh, so that makes more sense. Because, okay, in the love scene, that didn't make any sense. I mean, he had this big, ugly scar thing on his face, and she's just over there playing with his bullet hole chest. And like, oh, this is where you got shot? This is where you got shot? Trying to nibble.
Yeah, I've been shot a lot, woman. Shut up.
Right. You know, and then you know, it's implied that they make love. And, yeah, and I was just like, I don't really, okay, this isn't a really attractive guy. Because you can see when he goes into a lot of different places, people are kind of thrown off like, whoa, ugh. Like, who is this dude? Oh, my goodness, don't mess with him. But all of a sudden, here's Megan Fox, one of the baddest women in the West, I'm pretty sure, and looking at her, and it's like, you like this dude? How? Why?
Yeah.
Not saying that it couldn't happen, but he's not even. I'm pretty sure he's not even paying her.
Prostitutes in 1876 did not look like Megan Fox. In fact, I'm reasonably sure in 1876 no one looked like Megan Fox.
That was a recent development.
Even for Megan Fox.
But I mean, her character in the comics is like her entire family's killed, and then she's raped, and they shoot her in the face, and that's how she loses her eye. And the next time you see her, she's working in a brothel. I'm like, I guess you're wearing a thing on your face.
So she's kind of like a female Nick Fury, but
Yeah,
just
and
a
then-
prostitute.
And then she doesn't
Yeah.
do what someone says, and they cut her up. And then Jonah Hex find her when she's been left for dead the second time. And she convinces him to make her into a badass.
I'm kind of glad.
And she does become a badass.
I'm kind of glad that she didn't have to suffer that, and she just looked pretty in this movie. That would be too much.
But she wasn't playing Tallulah Black.
Right, she's playing the best possible timeline to Lula Black.
But
Best
Dave,
possible timeline?
She's still a
I
prostitute.
don't know. It's still in the Old West. Her best possible timeline is being a prostitute in the Old West. Sorry, Tallulah.
But Dave, this is the darkest timeline. We can't have that here.
It's true. We need Tallulah Black, no limbs.
We need him. We need Jonah Hex to find her the 4th time she's left for dead.
Missing an ear, nose cut off.
You know what? I'm good with just plain
looks like
old. I'm good with just plain old Tallulah Black. We don't have to go that far.
She's like
Jesus.
squirming out of the grave. I'm not dead.
Yeah, Jonah Hex.
Just ugly.
Jonah Hex goes back and explains, I found this guy in the desert. I'm a woman. Oh.
No one can tell. Shut up.
Holy sh!
The whole movie, she's like in his backpack.
Oh, good God, man! You got to stop. You got to stop now.
It's the darkest possible timeline.
That's
Is
true.
that okay? But this podcast isn't called the darkest possible timeline. It's just called the darkest timeline.
Is there a difference?
Yes, that was the difference.
All right.
Limbs are the difference.
So was that everyone's absolute least favorite part?
Yeah.
So what else?
I didn't like the weird, just at the end, the weird cuts and edits. At the last fight scene, I didn't like it because it didn't make it. There was no cohesive, really story being told. It was just like a mishmash of, okay, this is happening, now this is happening, now this is happening, and it's like I was so confused. As I was like, wait, how did we even get to this point? From a initial fight scene aspect, like, okay, now we're about to engage.
Yeah.
And, to go through the whole motions, and this is how we end. I've seen better fight scenes in worse movies, like Wild Wild West.
Trinity.
Although, I want to talk about Wild Wild West for a second, because this movie was missing a giant mechanical spider to stop the Gatling gun. That would have helped.
Man, I'd like to ask you to leave the room now.
If we ever watch Wild Wild West, there's some pretty good stuff to say about that spider.
So,
To piggyback on that little tidbit, there were 3 fights going on there. There was the fight between Megan Fox
There
and
was 3?
some dude. Yeah, Megan Fox and some dude. Then Josh Brolin and John Malkovich, and then metaphorical, weird in somebody's mind, Josh Brolin and John Malkovich.
Oh yeah, well yeah, that's what I'm. All that was. I mean that just made no sense. Oh, even like if you're gonna have the dream sequence, have one of the Native Americans explain what's going on.
Well, but none of them were in the movie.
Yeah, but they were. This fight scene was a fight that they show earlier. They show the beginning of earlier, like
Right.
in the middle of the movie when Jonah Hex gets shot a few times and he's dying, I guess. They show him like coming out of the ground and fighting John Malkovich, and then he loses that fight. But then they show it later, and he gets up after being shot in that fight, and it's not a fight that's really happening. It has no bearing on the movie in any way. It didn't need to be shot. It didn't need to be there. There was no reason for that fight.
Well, they needed to make the movie longer. It was already really short.
it was 73 minutes long.
To the credits.
To the credits.
81 minutes with credits.
And they padded the fight scene with that third fight scene that I still don't quite understand the rationale for. It was sort of like
you don't
relive your death. Like
No,
if
it
you're
was
gonna
when-
die, relive your death.
It was when he Like, there's no real explanation for it. But what he said when that started happening, because there's like narration throughout the movie, he says, when you die, you see your life or something like that. And I guess he envisions his life as just fighting that guy.
Or he said something like seeing like your time towards death or something like that, or some kind of way. I don't know. It was weird.
Doesn't make tons of sense. But then there's a random fight scene in a riverbed. Because that's how that works.
I guess it was a spiritual battle.
Sure, man.
I would have liked to have seen him bring back the animation at that point.
Last 10 minutes of the movie, just animation.
No, like just that third fight.
Right.
Third fight being animation.
Because then it would at least imply there was something deeper going on.
I can see that. I can see that.
I mean, because if that's the case, then if you're going to throw this little weird red-colored scene in the middle and end of the movie, you might as well have thrown that at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, not that dream sequence, but I don't know. This is weird, and it was even weird when they were trying to explain the animation sequence. Like, oh, then he died in a burning tavern, and I never saw him again.
Hotel.
Burning
hotel.
They have hotels back then.
Yeah.
I thought it was called something like a lodge.
Lodge. What kind of fancy part of the Old West were you going to?
Welcome to our lodge. I
That's
don't know where the hell I'm talking
That's
about.
in the Northeast.
Huh.
It's up in like Maine. They have lodges.
Oh, okay.
I figured out that thing that I liked that I was thinking about earlier, but I couldn't figure out what it was. I liked the anachronistic music in the movie. Because just like the random rock music in the Western movie, I liked it. I like that.
You're alone.
I like anachronistic movie music in movies, just in general.
Peaky Blinders,
Yes.
TV show on Netflix that does anachronistic music, spot on. It is fantastic. They don't do it as well in Jonah Hex as they do it in Peaky Blinders, and that's like the gold standard. I highly recommend that to you, and I still piss all over this movie. In conclusion, you're wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, I agree with you, Dylan. Because I remember, I don't know if you remember that I mentioned that I did like the music,
Yeah, I do
placements of
remember.
the music. But, yeah, it could have been better, yeah. I think they had that part right. Whoever was the musical...
Yeah, but there's like a certain... Like, I really like A Knight's Tale.
A Knight's Tale was fantastic.
A Knight's Tale is great. A Knight's Tale is great. It's a really fun movie.
The second best movie Heath Ledger was ever in.
I guess Brothers Grimm wasn't that great.
Nope.
I own that movie. Yeah. So back to didn't like. Anything else? Anything else I didn't like? I didn't like
the twangy guitar WB theme in the beginning of the movie.
That's exactly what I was about to say.
I didn't even realize it was the theme until like halfway through.
Yeah.
Any other dislikes? No? All right. I guess, what would you do to fix it?
Yeah. So how would you fix this movie?
I want...
It's not about what you want, David.
It's about what the world needs.
I like the idea of a paragon of the Wild West just completely kicking ass and taking names. I like the idea of Jonah Hex. I want to see him in something that's a little more classically Western, but let him still be as campy and as violent and as crazy, like, interesting. So you keep, like, the crows follow him around and all that stuff, but it's like 3:10 to Yuma, except you put in Jonah Hex as the main good guy. Something like that.
Yeah, he just needs to be in a Western.
He just needs to be in a Western.
He's just a Western character. That's just what he is.
Yeah, I think that's what I would do. I mean, in this movie, I dare say I cut out Megan Fox because she's inconsequential to the plot.
Cut out too much, you don't have a movie anymore.
I think maybe turning this into a more ensemble piece, like John talked about earlier, like train robbery. I'm gonna go almost like a Ocean's 11 type.
You mean like
where-
The Great Train Robbery,
Yeah, right,
one of the
right.
first films ever made?
Would you get off The Great Train Robbery?
I can't get off it. It's a train robbery.
Right, or Jonah Hex as seen in Seven Samurai, or what was the Seven Samurai was the Japanese
You mean the
version.
Magnificent Seven?
The Magnificent Seven, starring Jonah Hex.
Well, you wouldn't call it that.
Yeah, but that the
The Magnificent Seven, starring Jonah Hex.
something
They missed out on that on the Magnificent Seven movie.
And Amadeus Arkham.
that would be cool. I'm just those. You just put them in a fucking western, and you'll have a western, and then you can sell a western.
Yeah.
Because you can sell a Western.
Yeah.
They're so cheap to make.
True Grit worked.
Yeah. And then you have something that stands out with this guy because his face is
Right,
Oh,
and
yeah.
if you just give it a little bit of a superhero feel, just like
Yeah.
you push it so that just as far as you can without having to really lose your suspension of disbelief.
Even the Jonah Hex comic books don't have a superhero feel. It's a comic. It's a Western in comic book form. That's all it is.
He does kill Superman, and he becomes a Black Lantern.
That's later. That's not a Jonah Hex book.
But he's a comic book.
Yeah, but that's not in a Jonah Hex comic. That's just someone using Jonah Hex in a different.
So there
yeah.
it is. Just give him a western, give him a really good western, and make him so good. Make him the Superman of the Wild West, and that's what I want to see.
Without superpowers.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a sentence that doesn't really make sense. But okay.
Make him
Or the
transcend
Batman
the genre.
of-
We get the Batman. The Batman of
which
Right.
which is what he basically is.
Yeah. Okay, John, blow me away.
An ugly Batman. But yeah.
How you blew me away.
So the way that I would fix this is, like I was stating earlier, just have me connect to him more. I want to connect to John. I want to be as angry as he is. If you're gonna, because they had decent ideas of a movie. They had all the elements there. They just threw just in around it. You know, it's just like, oh, we have good elements, but just it, let's film it. You know, and it's like you had good dialogue. The dialogue wasn't bad. It wasn't crappy. Not like an R.I.P.D. You had good ideas, just like you're saying. Show the Native Americans more. Like I want to explore the world. This movie was boring. It just stayed in one spot. Jonah Hex. I want vengeance. I'm probably dead. Nope, I'm not dead yet. I'm gonna go kill this guy. Am I dead? Maybe. Nope, I'm still alive. All right, I'm riding. And it's like it was boring.
Should have done your thing up front like that.
You know, it's take out the Dragon Balls, or if you're gonna have the Dragon Balls in there, just explain stuff, explain things. I want.
We should probably explain there weren't actual Dragon Balls. There were just yellow glowing balls. They never explained that were some sort of explosive.
Oh, I'm sorry. You mean Dragon Balls?
Yeah, they're Dragon Balls. So go on, John.
Yeah, so I mean, that's what I would do. I would build just more connections between characters, because right now it just seemed like we just hopped in the middle of a story and we don't know what's going on. You still kind of don't know what's going on because they just ended it, and it's like, okay, all right, but you know, let me know more about the villain. Let me care about the villain more. Actually, have the villain actually care about his role a little bit more than he did. He was just there. He was like, yeah, whatever. Okay, I'm saying these lines and I'll do some decent acting. I'd have that. Like I said, better connections, better payoffs. And take out all the stupid stuff that just doesn't make sense, like the snake dude. If you're gonna have him in there, have it make sense. Don't just throw stuff in there and take it away.
How could you have it in there and have it make sense?
I
challenge you.
It's supposed to be kind of fantastical, right? With Jonah Hex, right? Isn't he like have some fantastical elements in the comic?
Occasionally, yeah.
Yeah,
But mostly it's just a Western.
Yeah, I know.
It pushes the board. Like, it's the fantastical thing is he's a crazy good shot.
Right.
Like, he's just really good at shooting things, and people were really good shots back then. But he was like Deadeye, like really, really, really. You can't really be that good, can you?
But didn't
Well,
he
you have one eye that's always opened. You might be.
But didn't he go into space at one point? I'm
That was a
not.
different comic book.
no,
It was a
no.
limited run, and it was weird. People don't usually talk about it.
Oh, it was
But
bad.
no, it's pretty neat.
It was neat. Okay, so
I'ma
so
talk about
this is
He'll
what I
talk
do.
about it.
This is
I want to talk about it.
okay. This is just what I would do to change it. Out of all the stuff I said,
Uh-huh.
at the end, if you're gonna add any fantastical anything in it, I would give just like you were talking about earlier, they could have expanded this film. It would have been like a sleeper hit, kind of like with Iron Man. Nobody really expected Iron Man to be as good as it was, and that set out so many. You have an amazing live action Marvel universe now of films that we've never seen before, and super huge kudos to Marvel for that. DC, step your game up, man. Y'all are messing up.
They tried to start out theirs with Man of Steel. Not nearly as good as Iron Man.
Yeah, and it's like, I mean, and it's rushed. You know, they do rush stuff like with this script. It was good, but it was rushed. You know, so where it could have been great, it could have been good to great. It was just, you know. I would leave like a little Easter egg at the end of something possibly fantastical outside of him being a really good shot. You know,
a Kryptonian pod crashes outside of his town,
and this General Zod, or just bring in a snake guy then or something. I don't know. Mm-hmm. Just do something better connections.
You know what this movie reminded me of, and I can't believe I haven't brought it up yet. The Adventures of Briscoe County Jr.
Really? Oh my God!
It had that. It was like a PG-13 version of Bruce Campbell's TV show.
Huh. That is such a weird show, man.
Right. But they bring in the Fantastic as well.
That's true. Yeah, okay. How'd you fix it?
Okay, so I would have the first scene when he was dragging the bodies. Was that actually the first scene?
No.
No, it wasn't. Okay.
Consider that the first scene.
I don't care, because that's the only one we remember, really. That scene, basically unchanged. Just him going in, getting the bodies, getting shot, shooting them, blowing up the town, leaving, going to get a drink somewhere, and then getting zapped out of existence. Because I'm going straight in with the comic book Hex, which was his second comic, was just called Hex. And the very first thing that happens in that, he's drinking in a bar, zapped out of existence into the 21st century. Not like 21st century currently. Mm-hmm. Like 21st century, like 2070s, I think, I want to say. And the apocalypse happened in like 2040 or 50. And so it's a post-apocalyptic land. And he gets zapped into that and becomes a bounty hunter there. And has to learn to live in that time. But as a total badass, like, cowboy, but living then.
Do you think that would alienate the audience?
It was like a Mad Max inspired thing.
Yeah, it'd be very Mad Max.
Gotcha.
Which didn't alienate audiences. So
it was a moderate success in the United States, but it was just a hit in a lot of Europe.
And Japan.
Yeah, and Japan.
All right.
So I'd just go with Hex.
Okay, how would you fix it, Dylan?
I would also keep the first scene relatively untouched. Except when Jonah Hex leaves the town, he leaves the movie until the very end. Because this movie is the adventures of Gatling Horse and Dumb Fat Sheriff. He also leaves Gatling Horse behind for the new sheriff in my version.
I feel like this would be a 3-minute long movie in which the dumb fat sheriff loses to Gatling Horse.
Well, he'd turn the thing, but he'd be facing the barrel, and he just immediately dies.
No, he pulls it together by the end. It's about him.
Oh, really?
I mean, the first act they have to put out the fire, and that's hard enough because they're in pretty much a desert, right? And it's about them rebuilding the town and bringing it back to a standard of quality that they haven't seen before. But then in the third act, like, there's like a train coming through or whatever, and it's instead of like using boats to destroy places, the bad guys were using using a train. So then like Jonah Hex comes back into the movie there, and they help him fend off the bad guys in the end because they've improved so much.
I like where you're going with this. I want to just throw something at you, okay?
Go ahead.
A brick.
The dumb fat sheriff spends the entirety of the movie thinking he's just biding time until Jonah Hex gets back. Then at the end, he realizes he doesn't need Jonah Hex, that we are all Jonah Hex.
It doesn't make any sense.
And then he heats up a hatchet and burns his face.
No, but he learns how to be...
we are all Jonah Hex!
He learns how to be a slim, smart sheriff.
Slim?
Why can't he be a dumb, fat, smart sheriff?
Well, there's an oxymoron there. I think that's why.
Is it?
Well, and he's definitely a moron.
Okay, but I like what you did.
Yeah, definitely.
I would slightly change what you said, Dave, to where it gets close to the end of the movie and he's like, oh crap, Jonah Hex is not coming back when it's just me. It is just me.
So then the last half hour is just depression and
But
drinking.
in my version of the movie,
But I did like
after
that. Yeah.
after they defend the town with Jonah Hex, like the last thing Jonah Hex does before he leaves town and takes Gatling Horse with him because the sheriff can handle himself now is he pats the sheriff on the shoulder again and he says, "You earned it," and then he leaves.
Nice. But okay, similar, except we get a lot of peanut butter. We slap it in that horse's mouth,
And it talks now.
and it starts talking.
Just pulling a Mr. Ed.
Legit, Mr. Ed. And Gatling Horse is like,
I'm
oh,
pretty sure there's laws against doing that now. That's what CG's for.
you can. What horse doesn't love peanut butter? That's not.
Well, but then you're doing it for a profit. You're like
how about a
exploiting
horse? How about a horse that has a deadly peanut allergy? I think that horse wouldn't like peanut butter.
The internet has been making famous kittens for the last 20 years. They can,
What does that have to do with anything?
like
The internet itself has
it's
been
making-
cultivating a kitten farm.
the internet has been making a
exploiting
profit
animals.
off of animals all the time. So, and yeah,
And don't forget those Air Bud movies. I haven't forgotten.
they go to space.
Damn right. We should do an Airbud season. That would last a year and a half.
No.
Oh, no. That'd be awful.
All right, I think due to time we have to
Yeah,
move up.
we grab some cards.
Grab some cards.
Let's plug the podcast now instead of waiting to the end.
Don't forget to rate and subscribe. We are on iTunes, Stitcher, and if you connect with us on Facebook, we will be sure.
What's iTunes Stitcher?
iTunes and Stitcher
And Google Play.
and Google Play, and we answer our Facebook, and we see those likes. Let's turn those likes into downloads, shall we?
Turn that smile upside down.
Yes.
Turn that
So
smile
if you
upside
are
down.
if you are listening to this and you haven't liked our Facebook, like us. If you've liked our Facebook and you've never listened to us,
Thank you.
Why have you liked our Facebook?
I don't know how you're listening to us now. So is that's what we got?
Well, and Twitter. We're on Twitter,
Twitter, we're
at
on-
DTL Podcast.
Yes.
Yeah, and DTLPodcast.com for all of that crap.
Yes.
And let's.
All right, deal the cards.
Well, we gotta choose our movies first.
Oh,
I already got my movie.
I choose the spirit, or not the spirit. I choose Priest.
Priest. Was it a comic book movie?
It was a comic book. It was based on a graphic novel.
Oh, neat. I had no idea. Ian.
Give me a minute, because I won last time, so I don't have one in my back pocket.
That's fair. I am gonna choose. Ooh, I'm still gonna go for X-Men Origins Wolverine.
That's a good choice.
It's a really bad choice, but yeah, I see where you're coming from.
I want to finish the Ryan Reynolds thing. I
Yeah,
feel like that would bring us some completion to the season.
Some closure.
Some closure, yeah.
Only we wouldn't be closing on it, so not real closure.
perfect.
Brett's gonna be so happy.
Brett doesn't do that.
What do you want, John?
I'm gonna stick with Howard the Duck.
That's fair.
Yeah. I'm a fair man.
How about you, Ian?
Okay, I'm going to go in barbed wire.
Ooh,
Oh,
I'm pretty much happy next week, no matter what happens.
are you?
Yes, these are all terrible
Anyway, here,
movies.
take a card. Pick a
yeah,
card,
I
any
think
card.
all the movies on the list are terrible movies, except Mystery Men, and we did that already.
Really?
And really, the Ghost Rider movies aren't that terrible.
Well, there's an argument that could be made to the contrary, that in fact they are. You gotta- yeah.
I have Mayday.
These are James Bond
Played
cards, by the way.
Yes, we have James Bond cards. I have Mayday, played by Grace Jones, 1985. A View to Kill. She is an ace.
All right.
I have Irina,
Oh,
played by Minnie Driver, 1995, and the movie GoldenEye. And I have the Ever Strong 2.
would only be ever strong if aces were low.
Right?
I've got Dominique Domino Duval, played by Claudia Auger in 1965's Thunderball. It's a Jack.
I've got Teresa Di Vincenzo, played by Diana Rigg in 1969's On Her Majesty's Secret Service, which is a king and still doesn't beat your ace.
Grace
Dave.
Jones.
So we're watching Priest.
We're watching Priest.
Tune in next week.
I remember not hating that movie when I saw it.
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
Remember to check us out next time and tell your friends. Because we'd
Or
really
else.
like you to tell your friends.
Yeah, tell your friends and tell their friends, and then they can bring their friends, and we can all be friends.
And just start writing DTLPodcast.com on like bathroom walls and shit. Just
Yeah.
do that. No, actually, don't do that.
No,
We're not gonna.
we're not telling people to deface public property.
Okay, yeah, we're not telling you to do that.
Wink.
We're telling you to do that.
We're not telling you to do that.
Don't
Wink.
do it, but do it.
I'd also like you to consider this. America needs a sheriff.
The Adventures of Gatling Horse and Dumb Fat Sheriff.